Hey everybody, welcome back to me discussing more of the D&D stuff. I know I got a little confused on the fighter last time. I'm hoping I'm more awake now, but we'll see. I have a predisposition to kind of passing out and waking up and hopefully, feeling like, yeah, this time I got it. Uh, so we're going to be going over probably the first class that appears in D&D 4th edition, or 5th edition. Wow, we're already messing up the name. So Barbarian. Barbarian, I expect to actually get hit by some nerfs. Barbarians have had the uncanny ability to live long time, so I assume they'd want to hit that. But we'll see. That's my only assumption on Barbarian. Everyone's favorite tank has been hit in the gym and is even more buff in the 2024 Player's Handbook. You'll find the new Barbarian is harder to take down, has a more persistent rage, and is more strategic when it comes to trading off defense for offense. Okay, so maybe they're going to make it even more tanky. In this article, we'll cover the key changes to 2024 Barbarian. You'll find the new Player's Handbook. If there's a feature we don't cover, it's just extra attack. It remains unchanged and only saw a minor tweak. I doubt, yeah, extra attack. The only thing that would make extra attack way crazier was if it just was like a thing that happened and you couldn't control it. That'd be the only way to like make it worse. It's pretty hard to fuck up now. Alright, let's go over the features. We could read this, but I just don't never want to. Rage level 1. You can't be the Hulk of your adventuring party without a persistent, nigh uncontrollable rage. The 2024 Player's Handbook makes it easier to keep your rage rolling by allowing you to expend a bonus action to maintain your rage. Your rage is also extended if you force an enemy to make a saving throw. Previously, you would want to make a weapon attack or take damage to continue raging. But if you're taking your turn to do something mundane, such as climbing a ladder, you don't want to have to expend another usage of rage once you get to the top. You can now also regain one use of rage when you finish a short rest, making it more likely you'll have this key Barbarian feature available when you roll initiative. Okay, so this is the change I think everyone imagined was going to happen. How do I feel? I knew it was coming. Like, this felt obvious to me, but I think one of my things is rage was like something the Barbarians tap into for like a, and they have to like keep tapping it. Like you have to like, you're like, I'm breaking into a rage, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. I'm breaking into a rage, I'm gonna do this action. And the moment that action's over, the rage ends. This they're being like, it's a persistent thing you're like able to hold on to. And I guess using your bonus action to maintain it, to like keep it moving is okay. I wonder if you need that even if you just get it back on short rests. Because if you didn't remember before, you would have to do a long rest before you get any rages back. Before you get them all back. Short rest was now you can get one. I wonder if you even need that. But, I mean, I think this is fine. I think people just like raging the whole time they're in combat. I think having to think through multiple different rages would make people, it makes people annoyed. I think this is better for the players. I just don't know if it, like, fits my conception of Barbarian, but I wonder if that's just because I hate change more often than not. So I would say rage is, I think, fine to keep on. It just becomes more interesting as an idea now, because now, like, could a player technically just be raging forever if they just say I keep using my bonus action to rage outside of combat, or like blah blah blah. Someone's gonna try to like metagame that in their head. Well, I guess you rage for 1 minute technically, so you can't do it for that long. Yeah, it's dumb. I don't know why I said that. I just think people are just gonna like try to hold on to it for the longest possible, instead of it being like a flip switch that you have a resource you have to expend more thoroughly. This feels like it's a resource you are always going to be spending, and they'll make sure you always have it up, instead of like a resource you should care more about, which is like always my thing. But let's go. Find more ways to crush, slash, and generally pull enemies with the new weapon mastery feature. At level 1, you can choose 2 simple or martial okay, yeah. Great axe and hand axe. We've already been over both these. Cleave is the one where if you hit a creature, you can hit a second creature, but you don't add your ability modifier. You do get to add your raid bonus though, and then Vex, which was the wow, Vex for hand axe is actually really fucking good. Vex on hand axe is really strong. They really want to make the hand axe better. Yeah, this is for brutal strikes and everything. Yeah, hand axe on Vex is actually Vex is really good for any class. That might just be good for you might be able to make finally the strength rogue is coming through. But Danger Sense. Let's see if that got any changes. The Barbarian's Spidey Sense has been given a buff. Previously, you'd have to be able to hear or see a fireball shrieking towards you in order to get advantage on your subsequent dexterity throw. Now you can dodge effectively even when blinded or deafened. Okay, so they just buffed Danger Sense up. Okay, so incapacitation is the only thing that takes away Danger Sense now. Okay, I mean, Danger Sense is really good now. That's nice. Danger Sense was already decently okay. You could get away with some crazy stuff. Now they're really just saying, yeah, now you can get away with a lot more bullshit. Now you can get away with a lot more stuff. So, good for them. So now we're going to look at our 4 subclasses. Path of Berserker, Path of the Wild Heart, which was formerly the Totem Warrior. World Tree's new. They've been talking about that one being new. And Zealot, which is the Xanathar. Okay, cool. The biggest change to Path of Berserker is the adjustment to Frenzy. Now, instead of giving you an extra bonus attack action, you get additional damage on your first hit each turn. The extra damage is represented by a number of d6 equal to your rage bonus damage. You also don't gain levels of exhaustion for using this ability. Alright, there you go. They made it good now. Path of Berserker was the ultimate, like, crap class, I guess you would call it. Or how I always viewed it, where it was like, well, it's good that it's like the noob trap. Like, it sounds really cool, it sounds really fun, and the trade-off is like, oh, the trade-off makes sense if you're doing so much damage and blah, blah, blah. But as you go and play the game more and more, it was, actually, this sucks ass. So, it isn't as good. And Totem Warrior was ridiculously good comparative at the beginning of the game. So now it's just like, well, actually, we're going to go back and just say this is good. We're going to make this good. That's good. Instead of game games, that's your damage by a number of d6 equal to your rage bonus damage. A number of d6 equal to your rage bonus damage. So if my rage bonus damage is like +2, do I roll 2 d6s? That could be interesting. That could be really strong. Other than that, Intimidating Presence, Retaliation have now swapped places. Okay, that's probably the correct move there too. Intimidation and what was it called? Retaliation were just like your 10th, 14th, and they just swapped them. So instead you get Retaliation earlier, which is when you take damage from a creature that's within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature. It's pretty decent. And then Intimidating Presence, beginning at 14th level now, you can use your action to frighten someone with your menacing presence. When you do so, choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature can see or hear you, it must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier, or be frightened of you until the end of your next turn. I bet they're going to change it from charisma modifier, I'd assume, to like strength modifier or constitution modifier, or be frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Once the season turns, you can use your action to extend the duration's effect of the frightened. I bet they'll also change it to a bonus action. I bet they'll change that one a bit more. Oh, well, here you go. And with Intimidating Presence now affecting multiple creatures in the frightening less to woman out without you need to spend your action extending the duration. There you go. So maybe the action is it, and then extending it isn't take it. Mindless Rage now also ends the charmed or frightened condition instead of suspending it. Oh, that's good. That's very funny. It just ends it. Yeah, suspension was a bit of a weird one. I don't think they really used it too much. Okay, Path of the Wild Heart. This one, Totem Warrior was, by all accounts, fucking great. So we'll see how they change it. After I drink a bit of this Pepsi. This delicious Pepsi. The Path of the Wild Heart has seen some significant improvements to its flexibility. Now you can change the animals that you draw primal power from more easily, and they've been balanced to make choosing feel more strategic. Instead of choosing an animal at level 3 and sticking with it through your campaign, you can swap out the benefits from your level 3 and 14 abilities each time you rage. The more passive abilities you gain at level 6 can be changed out whenever you finish a long rest. Okay. I mean, that all seems decent, if they tune them out to be as good as they are. Again, the passive ones when you long rest I think is good. They were messing with the previous stuff being like, oh, you can do a short rest or blah blah blah, you can move around really quickly. So I wonder why this one specifically long rest, maybe the passive abilities they just consider too good. But I like just being able to pick it when you rage. They just gotta nerf them all down the board then. And I doubt they're gonna do a hard nerf on every single thing. Again, I'm very scared of buffing characters in D&D. I think characters are already really strong in general. So anytime they go around and buff more characters, I'm like, well, that's good, but I don't know if the game's going to be built fully around buffing every single character. So it is what it is. So I do like being able to pick my totems now more proactively in the play. Path of the World Tree. With this subclass, you can dish out temporary hit points, shift enemies around the battlefield, increase your reach, and the versatility of your weapon master's properties. And, as a subclass capstone, teleport around the battlefield with your allies. Okay, cool. Teleporting Barbarian. I've seen this played with more and more as the game gets like raging to do weird shit, not just raging to do more damage. So we'll see. It's like raging here really was like for more defense or to do damage. Raging here is for doing more damage. Path of the World Tree seems to be raging to do weird shit. And then we have Path of the Zealot, which was the Xanthor's Guide. This Radiant subclass has a glow up. Its Warrior of the Gods feature now helps you stay alive by giving you a pool of healing dice you can roll as a bonus action, rather than making it easier to bring you back from the dead. This is also reflected in the Rage of the Gods feature. It places Rage beyond death and gives you a fly, speed, damage resistances, and the ability to expend a use of your rage to prevent you or your combat from dropping to 0 HP. I don't have my Xanthars open. That seems pretty good. The Path of Zealot was funny because you couldn't die, and that was like an enjoyable aspect of it. So replacing it to be like you can die, but also hear these other things you get in return, I think seem like fair trade-offs, especially to make the Barbarian more team-oriented. Because the Barbarian just felt like it would go off and fuck off and just do its own thing, and now it feels like it's a part of the team a bit more. Like it has teamwork built into it to make players think of working with their team, instead of making players think they can go off and fuck off and do whatever they want. So overall, I think mostly decent choices to change. Again, Path of the Wild Heart I might nerf. If this is thinking like how I'm number of d6 equal to your rage bonus damage, that could stack up really heavily, really quickly. That becomes not sneak attack damage, depending on how much the rage damages change. But that gets really close to being quite a powerful move on your first hit. So we'll see. Again, I don't think it's that crazy yet. Make your Primal Knowledge. Make your Barbarian more useful. They're not crushing skulls. Primal Knowledge gives you an extra skill proficiency from the Barbarian list and the ability to replace certain skill ability modifiers with your strength modifiers when your rage is active. The skills include acrobatics, intimidation, perception, stealth, and survival. So I wonder if like this intimidation, you had this checked, that would then override Path of the Berserker's intimidating presence. Instead of using your charisma modifier, it would use your strength modifier if they get there, or they already just do that now. I think this stuff is cool. I think all this stuff's great. I think stealth using your strength doesn't make any fucking sense, but I love it. But I think like survival, perception, maybe these two don't make as much sense to me. That means that you can now fly into a rage and use your fury to sneak into places, perceive things more easily, do complex calisthenics. Talk about an all-terrain rage. Yeah, so that's like my thing I'm thinking of here. I think acrobatics could make sense. Like, you know, you're just so... Your strength makes you able to be more limber and do more incredible feats of athleticism or acrobatics. Intimidation totally makes sense. And I think survival can make sense to some degree. Like, you're able to tough out, you're able to figure things out. You know, you've been you're in this primal knowledge that you can use your strength for. It just doesn't make that much sense thematically, I think, to people. I think it'll be harder for people to understand what that means. But I think you can like role play this correctly, right? Like maybe your rage is you focusing in, but then it wouldn't make sense for Path of Berserker to do the rage stuff that much. I was actually going to look to see if they've changed anything at all about unarmored defense, but that looks to be the exact same probably. Improved Brutal Strike. So okay, we're just skipping over. Oh wait, no, I missed everything. What am I talking about? There you go. Instinctive. So that's probably replacing original Primal Path. Oh, not Primal Path. Sorry, that's your Primal Path is your subclass picking thing, and they're just adding in Primal Knowledge as a part of your Primal Path. Probably thing is like, oh, pick your subclass and you get these abilities, and then we start moving on. So fast movement's about the same. Instinctive Pounce is probably going to be replacing your Feral Instinct. So let's see what that is. When you gain its ability, you can move half your speed as part of the same bonus action you take to enter rage. This is an excellent way to ensure you're in the front ranks when you clash with the enemy forces. So, by 7th level, and then Feral Instinct in the original player's handbook is by 7th level, your instincts are so honed that you have advantage on initiative rolls. Additionally, if you're surprised at the beginning of combat and aren't incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn, but only if you enter your rage before doing anything else in that turn. If they're replacing Feral Instinct with Instinctive Pounce, I think that'd be good. Now, if they're just giving you Instinctive Pounce and Feral Instinct, that's really fucking good, because then you have advantage on initiative rolls. You aren't surprised. You don't get the surprise feature. And then you can enter rage, do your bonus action, not get surprised, and boom, you're off the races, So that's pretty good. So if you get Feral Instinct and Instinctive Pounce, that's a pretty good combination of moves. Brutal Strike. This ability replaces 2040 Brutal Critical. Oh yeah, so if Instinctive Pounce doesn't say they replace it, this is just the same thing. Nasty. Brutal Strike. This ability replaces 2014's Brutal Critical in favor of a more strategic use of your Barbarian resources. Using Brutal Strike, you can forego advantage on one of your strength-based attacks in exchange for more damage and a selection of debuffs you can impose on your enemies. The advantage can be gained through Reckless Attack, or it can be enabled by attacking a prone enemy. The only condition is that you can't have disadvantage on the roll as well. If you gamble correctly, you can still manage to hit with your attack. You gain an extra 1d10 damage and can choose either Forceful Blow, sends your target flying 15 feet away from you, then you can follow up and move half your speed towards your target without provoking opportunity attacks, or Hamstring Blow, reduce your target speed by 15 until the start of your next turn, despite usually having 2 hamstrings. A creature can only suffer from 1 hamstring blow at a time. Okay, so only can release by 15 feet. But, specifically, Hamstring Blow could combo with, not Sap, but Slow, from a thing that'd be 10 feet. So you could totally reduce someone's feet by 25 feet at that point. Both options are incredibly useful in specific situations. Forceful Blow is great for sending enemies off cliffs or into environmental hazards, just maybe don't follow them in afterwards. It can also be used to knock an enemy away from one of your less tanky party members. Hamstring Blow, on the other hand, can be crucial for locking down fast targets, keeping them within reach until you can finish them off. Who would have thought that attacking with Reckless Abandon might be so strategic? So remember, Barbarian always has Reckless Attack, where you can give enemies advantage on hitting you, and you get advantage on hitting them. So not too crazy. And Brutal Critical before was just, at 9th level, you can roll 1 additional weapon damage die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit with a melee attack, and then it increases each time. They're just saying that, get rid of all that. It's just not that exciting. And instead focus on that you can do an extra 1d10 damage, and then these follow-up abilities. These seem fine. I think these are good. I think that, again, give the player more ability to use teamwork proactively instead of just, I'm going to go hit things as the Barbarian. Let me go drink some water real quick. Again, they're giving the Barbarian a lot of ways to deal with shit. Relentless Rage. We heard you like tanky builds, so we made your tanky build even more tanky. Previously, when you succeeded in a Constitution saving throw after getting knocked to 0 HP, this would bring you back to 1 HP. Now you go back up to twice your Barbarian level, so it would be like if you're 11, you go to 22 HP. Seeing as you don't lose rage until you get incapacitated, you effectively have twice that many hit points thanks to damage resistance. Tack on the fact that this continues to happen until you fail your Constitution saving throw after dropping to 0 HP. This means you could trigger this ability multiple times per long rest, resulting in dozens of HP. This will effectively make you the Black Knight from Monty Python, able to shrug off normally fatal entry with a casual "'tis but a scratch." Okay. Starting at 11th level, your rage. So this compared to Relentless Rage. Before, starting at 11th level, your rage can keep you fighting despite previous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging and don't die outright, you can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 hit point instead. Each time you use this feature, after the first, the DC increases by 5. When you finish a short or long rest, the DC resets to 10. Okay. Yeah, that's going to make you really fucking strong. That makes the Barbarian hella big. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you give them any Constitution shit. And Barbarians should be buffing their Constitution with their strength. That's probably about it, really, most of the time. That makes them really big. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, have mercy. You can just imagine that going well. I think it's a fun level, but man, that keeps you around for a while. I guess there's a reason they changed a bunch of monsters to do force damage. They want to get rid of the motherfucker who just has resistance on everything. Ooh, the rage is going to be very scary. Yeah, that rage is really, really dangerous now. and you have to really be thinking, how do I deal with the Barbarian? If their dex and con is big enough, they get a really scary tank going on there. Okay, fun. Improve brutal strike. Get even more recklessly strategic. Now you can choose from two additional options. That's when you hit a creature with a brutal strike. You get staggering blow. Force your target at disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes, and it can't make opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. Perfect for diving out of the way and letting your wizard light them up the big spell. Yeah, staggering blow seems really cool. Sundering blow. If you have a martial buddy fight alongside you, this is a great to team up. When you hit a creature with this ability, the next attack made by another creature has a +5 to hit. Essentially trading off advantage to give your buddy advantage. Yeah, I don't know if just giving them advantage would be better instead of +5 to hit, but giving too much advantages would. Maybe they can already get advantage, right? The idea of having two advantages sucks, but having a +5 to hit and advantage would be really good. I could see Sundering Blow being pretty good. I would say maybe it'd be better if you reduce the target's AC by like 2 or 1 for that turn. That might be a little better, but this is okay. I would see Staggering Blow maybe use a lot more than Sundering, but Sundering would come in handy again with your Martial Companion, like I say. And I assume that doesn't. That just comes in. Ooh, it's a big yawn. We're still waking up. And that's with your you just get, man, you get so much stuff coming together. Blah blah blah. Persistent Rage. Previous feature made the Barbarian's Rage impossible to end early, short of knocking them in caution. In the updated version, you still get these benefits, and your rage lasts for 10 minutes without you needing to extend it in any way. Okay. And if that wasn't enough, you now regain all uses of rage when you roll initiative. This only triggers once per long rest, but a full 50 minutes of raging should get you to the next time you're able to kick up your feet and relax. So before it was beginning 50 level, your rage is so fierce that it ends early only if you fall unconscious or if you choose to end it. So now, for what? It never ends. And it lasts 10 minutes. For before, so we all know rage is a minute. So now we're at a full 10 minutes, rage, no ending. And at 15th, you have 5 rages, they're saying, which is about right. And so they're keeping that level. So probably the same amount of levels throughout the whole thing. Okay. This one confuses me. If it wasn't enough, you now regain all uses of rage when you roll initiative. This only triggers once per long rest, but a full 50 minutes of raging should get you to the next time you're able to kick your feet up and relax. I just want to make sure. I don't know if I understand that as much. Because, like, let's say we start an encounter at the beginning of the day, they haven't raged. Do they get all their rages back then, and then it stops, and like it doesn't trigger again, or do they get 50, 50 minutes of rages? It goes to 0. They then get all their rages back on initiative, and they get 15 more minutes. That's a lot of raging. I don't know if I understand this one as much. Do, 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 do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'll be really powerful, is what it will be. Improve brutal strike. I don't know if this makes much sense to me yet. I'd have to like see the exact wording. Like, if you don't have one rage, you get one back, or if you use 2 rages in an encounter. Though 10 minutes, and you use more than one rage, is kind of a crazy long fight. And then improve brutal strike. This improvement to your brutal strike doubles the damage from 1d10 to 2d10 and allows you to inflict 2 different brutal strikes effects each time you hit. Okay, now the other ones get really good. This allows you to combo effects, like sending an enemy flying into a blade barrier with disadvantage on their dexterity saving throw, or perhaps hit a creature with a thrown hand axe, use forceful blow to send them 15 feet away, and a hamstring blow to reduce their speed by 15 feet. Then step back a couple feet and ready the next hand axe. Yeah, I think that works really well. And if you can, you have multiple attacks, you can start really letting those things fly. Because technically, you could technically do this. Folks, I'm going to read that correctly. Brutal strikes. Yeah, you just forego advantage on one of your. You could just do like you had before up here. If you have enough hand axes, it'd be Vex. You can do Vex, Forceful Blow, and you do Vex. Right, you just do Vex on your first hit. You go, I'm going to Vex, I'm going to advantage. Next hit, Forceful Blow, Hamstring Blow. You can just do those two, and then that's it. And you'd have that you could do that every time, pretty much, if you hit on the first one, I guess. That's not too bad. And then it doesn't even get into the fact of, like, someone just threw Fairy Fire out or whatever. But again, it's level 17, so you should be rocking crazy strength at that point, so it's fine. Epic Boon. Epic Boon's, yeah, new type of feat. So, Boon of Irresistible Offense. The Boon of Epic Proportion starts by allowing you to increase your strength or dex by 1 to a maximum of 30. You also get the ability to overcome resistant bludgeoning. You also get the ability to overcome resistable. Oh, so the resistance does not matter to you at all. At 19. I know this might sound like a lot, but you're going to be magicaled up to the fucking gills by level 19. Finally, when you roll a 20 on the die for an attack roll, I guess it would be magical resistance to bludgeoning piercing over it. Someone wants to make that. Roll 20 on the die for an attack roll. You get to deal damage equal to the ability score that you use to make the attack. The ability score, not the ability modifier, so you can dump 30 damage. Which will likely be at least 25 when you gain access to Primal Champion at level 20. Now that's a critical hit. Yeah, you get to really double the dice on that one. Cool. Let's go listen to what they more said about it up here. I want to hear their example. I want to go look for their example of Persistent Rage real quick. To make sure, because I don't think I understood it as well. And as a classic D&D moron, I don't understand things so well.
Have improved Relentless Rage. This was a feature that Barbarians had before that helped them stay in the fight when dropped to 0 hit points. But in its previous design, it was far too easy for the Barbarian to bounce back, but have so few hit points that a monster could then just drop them again. And so all of the features in the player's handbook that are like this, because there are several different classes, subclasses, and even species in the case of the... So we have a brand new subclass in the form of the Path of the World Tree, and then we have the Path of the Berserker returning, as well as the Path of the Wild Heart, formerly known as the Path of the Totem Warrior, and then we also have the Path of the Zealot, a subclass that originally appeared in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and has been transformed in its migration from that book to this book. Should we start with the Berserker?
Yeah, it's tried and true and very the most barbarian
because you came back with so few hit points. Now, of course, there's still the risk that you will come back, and particularly if far too easy for the Barbarian to bounce back, but have so few hit points, so you can slow someone down, and then at higher level, for us, it was really begging for replacement, and that's why we've replaced it with Brutal Strike. And what Brutal Strike allows the Barbarian...
Okay, I don't think they go over
several
it.
different classes, subclasses, and even species in the case, where people who were participating in that process gave the thumbs up and said, yes, the new Frenzy is exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, this subclass is terrifying.
yes, it's supposed to be. And really at its heart, Frenzy, just like the new Brutal Strike in the base class, is now building on core features, and in this case, again, Reckless Attack, that if you are a Berserker and you are using Reckless Attack, this now allows you, the Frenzy feature, to deal more damage once per turn, and it does not cause you to get exhausted while doing it. The trade-off, as with Brutal Strike, is, again, whenever you're using Reckless Attack, it means other people have advantage to hit.
Wait, I want to make sure I actually understand that. I don't know if I read that in their discussion here about Berserker. So not gain level. I don't know if they talked about anything. Let's go read what they're talking about here.
What we want to see.
Yeah, this subclass is terrifying.
yes, it's supposed to be. And really at its heart, Frenzy, just like the new Brutal Strike in the base class, is now building on core features, and in this case, again, Reckless Attack.
Okay, so Frenzy's building on Reckless Attack. Frenzy now deals extra damage instead of giving extra attacks, which is true.
If you are a Berserker and you are using Reckless Attack, this now allows you, the Frenzy feature, to deal more damage once per turn.
I don't think they said that. I'm going to check that out real quick. Now instead of giving you an extra bonus attack, you get additional damage on your first hit each turn. I guess they're saying if you hit your free, you might want to use your Reckless Attack just so you can hit. But it just doesn't mean it builds. I don't know if it's. I would not say that builds off it unless you're saying you have to use Reckless Attack to get it, which I don't think that's what they're saying. So I don't know why they're saying that here.
And it does not cause you to get exhausted while doing it. The trade-off, as with Brutal Strike, is, again, whenever you're using Reckless Attack, it means other people have advantage to hit you. But that is kind of bread and butter for the whole Barbarian experience.
The Barbarian experience is literally risk and reward.
Exactly. So, and we've designed the whole class that way. It's about, how much are you willing to take for full, and moved it down to 10th level, because we wanted you to have that fun of doing retaliatory strikes sooner in your Barbarian career. And then we put Intimidating Presence.
I want to hear Path of the World Tree. You didn't heard anything about it, really.
But you also have the really fun ability to use the roots of the World Tree to point to your foe and say, nope, you're not running away, come back. And that has been an especially fun thing to see in playtests. This is the Barbarian who is kind of the worst enemy of the foe who wants to always run away.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
The Barbarian is just like, nope, come right back here.
Come over here, ability, yeah.
And so really able to help their party. And on top of it, they also gain an ability to extend their reach with their melee weapons by having like the roots sort of extending from their weapons to make it even easier to hit someone far away. And the World Tree gives them the ability even to fiddle around with the mastery properties that they're using with their weapon strikes.
Very hard barbarian to escape, but the hardest barbarian ever to escape. I can reach
Add more reach. I wonder if that would work
further.
with
I can teleport to you. I can
Sentinel.
teleport you to me.
Shit.
Again, at high level, I can teleport my whole party to you. It's like, hello. The enemy thought they got away from the whole group, and no, the path of the World Tree Barbarian is like, hi, here we all are.
So coming from Xanathar's guide, we've kind of imported the path of the zealot. This is the very divine focused.
Yes. So
I guess they're being very quiet on Path of the World Tree guy. I want to hear more Path of the Wild Heart.
modified several of the options, and the options at level 6 got particularly improved. We wanted to make them more useful to you in a typical adventure. So now, for instance, if you pick Salmon at level 6, you get a swim speed. If you pick Panther, you get a climb speed. And if you pick the Owl, you're going to have really good dark vision. And again, we wanted you to get some features at this level that would help you a bit more, particularly in the exploration tier of the game
and early on.
Okay, so their big thing here is saying, like, and before, when they got the previous level 6 ones, it was like, Bear, you can carry more Eagle, you have the eyesight of an eagle, which was nice, but it's like you can see a mile away, you have a, what's it called? Dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on you or something like that. But Wolf is, you get the hunted cinema as a wolf, you can track other creatures, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, hey, we're just going to make it so you just get actual benefits really fast.
I am very excited for this new subclass. It is the path of the World Tree, very much,
them more useful to you.
Okay, this is fine. I think the Barbarian didn't actually get nerfed really at all. I thought some thing was going to happen to them, but I think they're just saying they expect players to recklessly attack more often. I just don't know if that's going to be the actual thing. Barbarians are still going to be really tough motherfuckers. That's okay, though. That's fine. I don't know what to say. I think Barbarians were really tough. I think they're going to stay really tough. I think a lot of this stuff... I think the thing that I like about this, more than I'm like, oh, they might seem a little too strong... I think everything's leaning towards... So my big complaint with this overall is going to be everything's leaning towards being more strong instead of... I think there should be like a weakness level to everything in my head. Like, but that's how I always view these games, so that's just where I'm always going to be coming from. They're leaning way more... I think they're leaning strength-wise, but they're also letting it be teamwork focus. That's what their big focus on is like, oh, this Barbarian can help out the team. The World Tree Barbarian can bring people back to them and then teleport the team. And I think they want to focus on this Barbarian that can actually be around the team and would communicate more with the team, which I think is really important for the Barbarian, actually. The Barbarian so many times over has just been a dude who shows up, goes, punches things, and leaves the group. This Barbarian now having more teamwork-oriented stuff, I think is actually really, really positive. Let's go look at the Rogue, my least favorite class in all of D&D. Not because it isn't good, it's because it's too good. The Rogue remains a cunning, hard-hitting sneak in the 2024 Player's Handbook, with sneak attack remaining a staple and still offering the same damage. I got lost. Damage and progress as its 2014 counterpart, but the class now gains new ways to spin sneak attack, damage die, access to weapon mastery, and updated subclasses, notably the Assassin and Thief. Below, we cover key changes in the 2024 Rogue, blah, blah, blah. Let's get into it. Okay. Rogue. In addition to the Rogue's typical suite of features at level 1, you gain access to the new weapon mastery features from get-go. Each long rest, you'll choose 2 weapons you're proficient with and for which you want to access their master properties. So they're going to show short bow, which gives you the advantage one, and dagger, which is gives you an extra attack on your attack action if you're using a weapon of level 5 property. So this lets you like attack. We already went over this before the Rogue. You can attack 2 times. You can attack twice, once pretty much with the Nick property. It just has the doesn't have all the same exact properties as like the bonus action one, and then you can use your cunning action and then short bow, so you're always getting advantage. I am always really nervous about this stuff specifically. Get out of here, disengage and hide. Rogue, again, this makes rogues not teammate reliant, right? They now have the ability to do things themselves, to do their sneak attack their own way. And I think rogues having to be near a teammate or a teammate has to be near them and that they'll work together that way, I think made rogues more team focused naturally. Now it's like, you guys do what you want. I got nowhere. I can shoot this. I don't even need your help, guys. And I kind of dislike that. But I'll always be like the team, like that's a team. But now they're saying like, you can't do stuff by yourself. Rogues are famous for learning Thieves' Cant, a unique kind of language that allows you to speak and understand codes. But your time spent in the underground world means you've likely crossed path and worked with all manner of people and creatures. To reflect this, Thieves' Cant features not only grants you Thieves' Cant, but an additional language proficiency. I think that's good. I think more language proficiency among users should be good. It really can play into your background character stuff, so I'm okay with that. are subclasses. Now, they didn't talk about expertise, so expertise is staying. I don't like that. Remember, rogue, people think of it as, in their head, like the burglar type, the thief, or the assassin, or blah, blah, blah. Rogue is fucking great at everything because of expertise and what would become later on reliable talent. So having those abilities makes Rogue good at literally anything. Skill-wise, they have great RP decisioning, role-playing decisions that they're trying to buff the Barbarian and Fighter to, and I think Paladin to some degree, to have them like, oh, they can interact in the game as well to get them to Rogue status, but Rogue is just going to be better. Rogue and Bard are just always be better. Bard is a bit better in this regard because they're supposed to be telling tales and weaving narratives and stuff. Rogue is just really fucking good because it's the Rogue. That's the answer why. So Rogue's always been really fucking good. Rogue will continue to be good probably, so... With not changing sneak attack and not changing expertise, Rogue is still a nightmare then. So they're already making Rogue really good. Rogue is already really good. That's the answer now. Arcane Trickster. Magically inclined rogues can now swap out a cantrip each time they level up. Great. And giving you greater flexibility in your build. Versatile Trickster has also been changed so that you can use the trip option of Cunning Strike on an enemy. You can target an additional creature within 5 feet of your mage hand. That's really cute. That's cute. If your mage hand's out, you can Cunning Strike an enemy and make them trip. That's cute. Okay, Arcane Trickster seems good still. Or fun. Arcane Trickster I think is fun. It's like cool that it's a class that is very focused on not damaging spells, but like fuck with you spells. And I think continuing that degree is really good. Assassin. You can now more easily trigger Assassinate and Death Strike. Okay, let's go look at those really quickly. So Assassinate was... you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet. In addition, any hit you score against a creature that is surprised a critical hit, which I thought was good. I thought that was like a good trade-off, instant critical hits. But that and Death Strike, which is your 17th level, when you attack and hit a creature that is surprised, it makes a Constitution saving throw. And on a failed save, double the damage in your attack against that creature. So you crit and then double. Scary. But the damage has been reduced, exactly. You're more adept at poisoning and impersonating others, and you can move after using steady aim to support hit and run builds. Okay, so a little nerf to the Assassin to make it more consistent, because before it was it would kill you if it got you, but it was harder to get off going, which I thought was a fun trade-off. Like, if you want to play the Assassin, you gotta really plan to assassinate someone. But I think getting poisoning and impersonating will be kind of fun. Give the rogue even more face-like abilities. Who would have thought that the rogue would get more face-like abilities? With their ability to have expertise and everything. Oh no. Soul Knife. Introduce touch control and everything. The Soul Knife is largely unchanged. Your psychic blades now have a range of 60 to 120 instead of 60. You don't attack past that. They have Vex Master Property. I never had someone play Soul Knife, but getting Vex is going to be really fucking good because they get advantage on their own again. All the pain of that. The Thief. The upgraded Thief can activate magic items as bonus actions and have a unique Cunning Strike option called Stealth Attack, which allows you to remain hidden after attacking. That's pretty good. Use magic devices saw the most change. It now offers you an additional attunement slot, grants a chance to activate magic items without expending the charges, and allows you to use spell scrolls no matter what class or spellcasting prowess. Wow, that's a lot of changes to the Thief to make the Thief a very, very different class all of a sudden. Because original use magic is it's a 13th level learn. You have learned enough about the working of magic that you can improvise the use of items even when they are not intended for you. You ignore all class, race, and level requirements on the use of magic items, which is pretty good. Now it's like plus this. It seems like additional attunement slot, really fucking good. Activate magic item without spending a charge. That's really fun. So now I think this gives the Thief or the Rogue a really unique identity. This one's the most unique identity I think they've had. Is like magic item guy. Like guy who's given the items and is like, okay, you pop him, shoot him, throw him off, and hopefully you're just built enough or like have enough of your stats spread around that you can like be the magic item guy. And it makes much sense with the Thief. Makes a lot of sense because now they're gonna be like, oh, like you get this, you hold this, you're the guy who stole this, you should have more familiarity with it. And I think that stuff is like super cool. I'm a big fan of that. I think all that stuff is awesome. So big ups to them. I think Thief sounds great. Everything else sounds all right. I think all this sounds like it went in good direction. I think Assassin's probably gotten the most, like, maybe nerfed if you're able to figure out how to use the Assassin well, but whatever. Oh, the Tasha's Cauldron reopened up to let them know. They're like, hey, you know that stuff in Tasha's Cauldron? Yeah, we're going to be bringing it over. Tasha's Cauldron, if you don't know, was like their almost like, I guess you just call it like 5e Player's Handbook Plus of like, oh, you know you wanted more stuff, so here it is. So you just talk on as an optional class feature that gives a rogue a reliable way to get advantage to trigger sneak attacks, and 2024 is now a standard class feature. This was the if you don't fucking move and you shoot, you get advantage, which is pretty good. Again, this was a way to make rogues really self-sufficient on their own, and I think it's fine because as a really big trade-off. I think Vex doesn't have a trade-off I'm seeing for it yet, which makes me get nervous about it. But Steady Aim was a trade-off. If you can't move, shit gets really hard, and having to build into Assassin to get the movement base was good before. So I think that makes sense. Steady Aim is very funny though to be like to go for it. But I really like, and it really lets you fuck up rogues if they go for it. If you're playing as a DM, you can be like, good, you want that advantage? Now I kill you. You have to really have players play around like, I'm going for this advantage shot, guys. I need you to get in the way now, right after I take this shot if you have the initiative order for it. Cutting Strike. The most exciting new tool in the Rogue kit is Cutting Strike. It offers you new ways of utilizing sneak attacks to cripple enemies or just safely maneuver around the battlefield. When you deal sneak attack damage, you can choose to forego one or more sneak attack damage die to add a Cutting Strike effect on your attack. The DC of the Cutting Strike effectively affects scale off your dexterity, of course. At level 5, you choose up to one of the following Cutting Strike options when you land a sneak attack. Okay, so you can choose up to one. You choose 0 or 1. You get Poison, Trip, or Withdraw. Poison is put your Poisoner's Kit to good use. With this option, your target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. They can repeat this save at the end of each of their turns. That's pretty good. Trip, stick in with the pointy end and watch them fall, prone that is, on a failed dexterity saving throw. Just make sure your target is large or smaller before choosing this option. So yeah, can't trip the big boys, the very large boys. And Withdraw, hit and run with the Withdraw option. It lets you move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks after attacking. At higher levels, you'll get additional Cutting Strike options and even get to add 2 effects to a single sneak attack. Okay, so it just gets better as it scales up. Those seem good. Maybe not like super powerful, but that's good. Reducing damage to like fuck with them. It should be a rogue's talent. I think the thing they're seeing, and maybe the thing I think they know, is that rogues are really powerful. So finding ways you cannot give them more. They're already really strong. And they're going to buff the fuck out of them right here. I rolled 2, but it's a 37. Reliable talent all but guarantees you'll be good at your choice of skill. This is one of my least favorite talents in the game because it makes the rogue the specific master of this skill. And remember, if you're playing with parties of like 5 people, people will overlap in skill. But anything the rogue is good at, you just tell the rogue to do it. Unless you want everyone to roll all at the exact same time, which I guess you could do as well. Or that sneaking around, unlocking every door, and chests just befitting the neighborhood cat. You recognize this feature from the 2014 player. However, the rogue previously gained this at 11, they now gain it at 7. Yep. This is the, if you want to know what this move is, this is the most classic of rogue talents, I would say. It's when they, whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you can treat a d20 roll 9 or lower as 10. You no matter what, get a 10 on every roll. So, for that, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And you get a lot of proficiency bonus. You can go kind of crazy. But improved Cutting Strike. By level 11, your swimming and sneak attack damage die. With improved Cutting Strike, you can put them to good use by stacking each sneak attack with 2 Cutting Strike options of 1. So now you get to choose 2 instead of 1, which is good. Try to reduce that sneak attack damage to do better things for the rogue. The rogue is like one of those classes that exists in D&D to be focused down on because they're so dangerous. And because they can do a bunch of bullshit. So, it's good to try to get them out of there. And also what devious stuff is. Level 14. And if they didn't change sneak attack, level 14 would give you're about 7d6 in. So you can really start spinning stuff now. Duty Strike spins rogues. Cutting Strike with a host of nasty, read awesome effects. The following are add to your list of Cutting Strike options. Daze, Knockout, and Obscure. Daze, who says a support build can't also deal damage? If your target fails a con saving throw, they'll only get to move or take an action or bonus action on their next turn. Frustrating for DMs, but fantastic for your party. Yeah, this is good. It gives a good excuse for players to, like, hit a target. If they daze it, then back off of it. Get a good excuse out of there. Or force that target to then have to fight the person. This is a better, like, you have to go fight the person you're next to now. Knockout, 66, bonk into me in the head and render them unconscious for 1 minute if they fail a con saving throw. They'll repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, but chances are when they wake up, you'll have already sold whatever it was you needed and bounced. Ooh, very scary spell here. That doesn't give it any, like, failure rate, so if something doesn't have, like, a legendary action, you knock them out, I mean, that motherfucker's gonna get nasty hit by something else to come up to them. Who needs to slink into shadows when you can just blind your target? With this cunning strike option, your target will need to make a dexterity thing or be blind until the end of its next turn. Scare's pretty good too. That's scary. That's a scary one. That could be really good. That could be really good. That could be really annoying. You know, you say daze is annoying for DMs. Knockout is really annoying for DMs. But at level 14, you can have ways around that pretty easily. But definitely a spooky thing you gotta keep track of your rogue for. Blind Sense is not a feature of the 2024 Rogue. Oh, they just fucking cut that out. Great. Good. Just remove it. Perfect. And Slippery Mind instead gets... Slippery Mind has received an upgrade. Now your rogue is just cunning, not just in tongue, but in mind. You gain proficiency in wisdom and charisma saving throws instead of just wisdom saving throws. That's good. Blind Sense getting rid of is good, I think. I think Blind Sense is really, really good. But... Slippery Mind. So now they have 4 saving throw proficiencies. They're that fucking good. Like Dex, Intelligence, Charisma, Wisdom. They just got the suite. Again, this is my thing we get into. Rogues just are really built up to do shit. But yeah, it's really strong. Epic boons are a new type of feat introduced in the revised core rule set. Yeah. So they get boon of 9 if you want to, which is increase one ability score by 1 up to maximum 30, while in dim light or darkness you have risen to all damage except psychic and radiant, and as a bonus action you gain the invisible condition. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. And their capstone feature gets 2 upgrades in 2024 players' handbooks. So their stroke of luck was, you can now use stroke of luck on saving throws. Pretty good. And when you fail a d20 test, it turns your roll into a 20. That means a missed attack roll becomes a critical hit. Wow. That's just not even an ability check. You could just do any d20 test. Oof. Short or long rest. Oh, it's not good. I mean, it should be good. You're level 20. Thinking. No real nerfs here. This guy got some assload of shit. God damn. I think Blind Sense being gone is good, though. Slippery Mind getting upgraded is really good. Those are really high level, so at that point you're going to have really good stuff. So they're just good. Rogues are still just good. Nothing really wrong with them. I don't even really want to complain too much. They're RPing... I think they're trying to blowing out the other players to the Rogue's RP power. I still don't think it's enough, just because you're even moving expertise down a little bit. You give the Rogue so much opportunity to be the RP master, because the Rogues get access to a lot of things early that other players don't think about as much, which is like their class features, which is like, oh, you get Thieves Tool. Oh, you get expertise. Oh, you get this. And it just makes them the talent of the group in a way that I think other players just then sit in the back and like let the Rogue do their thing, I guess. I don't know. Rogue go open that door. Rogue go do this. Rogue go do that. Rogue go... And then you let the Sorcerer go barter, or let the Warlock go barter, and then the Fighters and the Barbarian and them just sit and do nothing. So I think they gave them the ability to, but I think they need to roll back that RP power of those characters. I don't know if they are going to. But I might be a little too doom and gloom as always for the RP power. Rogue, fucking good. Who'd have thought? Oh my god, crazy. Let's go look at our Circle of the Moon Druid. Let's go scroll down to my Circle of the Moon Druid on D&D 5e on the 2014 Player's Handbook. I don't know if I can get to Druid today, but I did. So let's scroll on up. Circle of the Moon. Let's see what they did to the old Circle to make it better. Wild Shape is undeniably the feather in the cap of the Druid class in D&D, and that remains in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Just fuck up that thing so badly every time. Changes to the 2024 Wild Shape rule now allow you to use it with greater ease and more often. Being able to transform into a litany of beasts is one of the main appeals of the Druid for many players. Plus, Druid subclasses often use your Wild Shape as an expendable resource to power their feature. If you're a fan of playing Druids or are going to have Druids at your table as a Dungeon Master, we're here to introduce you to the Wild Shape update found in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Okay, let's get into it. What's new in the 2024 Wild Shape? Let's get it. Wild Shape functions largely the same as the 2024 Player Handbook as it did in the 2014 version, with a few changes made to streamline and clarify usage and make it easier for 2024 Druids to access the feature. We'll start with a broad overview of both versions of the base Druid class. If an aspect isn't listed, there's no significant change. For example, in both 2014 and 2024, Wild Shape rules as a Druid, you gain access to Wild Shape at level 2. And you can stay in your beast form for a number of hours equal to half your Druid level. Okay, that's not changing. Let's take a look at the differences. Wild Shape rule. 2014 is an action. 2024 it's a bonus action. Number of uses, 2 uses, unlimited uses at level 20, 2 uses at level 2, 3 at level 6, 4 at level 17. Okay, so they're going to let you scale up a little bit before getting to unlimited, or you're never getting into unlimited, which I think is fine. I think unlimited was kind of dumb, stupid, no one cared that much, and 2 was too little. Replenishing. Short or long rest. Regain 1 use when you finish a short rest. Regain all uses when you finish a long rest. Starting at level 5, you can use Wild Resurgence to restore use by expending a spell slot. You may also expend one of use of your Wild Shape to restore a level 1 spell slot per long rest. At level 20, when you roll initiative and have no uses of Wild Shape, regain 1 use. Okay. I need to look at this later. That's a dangerous scenario. When you transform, you assume the hit points and hit dice of the beast. When you transform, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Druid level. Okay, so they're getting rid of the hit points and hit dice of the beast. They're just saying you gain temp HP equal to your Druid level. Interesting. Beast form limitation. CR 1/4, no swimmer fly speed. Level 2, CR 1/4, no fly speed. But you get the swim speed. That's cool. That's nice. 4 known forms. CR 1/2, no fly speed. CR 1/2, no fly speed. 6 known forms. So you start marking them down what you know. CR1, CR1 8 known forms. Must be a creature you've seen before. When you finish a long rest, you're going to replace 1 known form with another eligible one. Your ability to speak is limited to the capabilities of your beast form. You can speak in beast form. Okay, there's like, yeah, if you're like a dinosaur, you can just talk now. We don't care anymore. That is very funny that there's like, finally you can chat, which means you can cast spells to some degree. I think is what they're trying to say. Damage and Wild Shape. No adjustments to damage for Wild Shape form for base 2014. You can select the option of Primal Strike at level 7, granting an additional 1d8 of various damage when you hit a creature using a weapon or a beast form attack. Damage type is chosen on hit. Damage increases at level 15. Wild Companion. Oh no, not Wild Companion. Dude, really? I do not like Wild Companion. But that was our... What level was that at? Additional Druid spells, Druid circles. Wow, that's Wild Companions right there. 2nd level Druid. Official part of 24 Druid class, you can now use a Wild Shape. You use your spell slot to cast Find Familiar. Ugh, hate it. We'll get into that in a minute. So, closer look at 2024 Wild Shape rules. Using Wild Shape. Shifting Wild Shape into bonus action for the 2024 Druid is a major improvement in how easy it is to access your beast forms during combat. Now your Druid of any subclass can shift to a brown bear or wolf without having to wait a turn to start swinging your claws at foes. Yes, I think that's fine. I think making Wild Shape bonus action is fine. My only problem here is, so we're going to have to look at Circle of the Moon. They're encroaching on this subclass really hard now. Circle of the Moon was good because it was supposed to be the I'm the motherfucking guy who gets to be I'm the circle change one. You know, I'm the one who makes this the Druid circle. I don't know my wild shit. What the fuck is it called? My Wild Shape shit work really well. The moment they start making it better, general, it reduces the impact of Circle of the Moon Druid. So we're going to have to really be comparing hey, how good is Wild Shape now that it's not Circle of the Moon specific? Because remember, Circle of the Moon was second level. If you pick Circle of the Moon, you get Wild Shape as a bonus action. That was part of its deal. Like, hey, it's good because you're Circle of the Moon. But just making it overall buff is actually makes this class Circle of the Moon worse. So how are they going to make this one better? Is the question we're going to be asking ourselves going forward. Staying in Wild Shape, one of my personal biggest frustrations with playing 24 Druids at higher levels is that during combat, sometimes I spend my turn to shift into a beast form. Then, before my next turn came around in the initiative order, I'd take enough damage to push me back out of it. As a result, I'd ostensibly lost a turn and expended a pretty finite resource. Although, no, you no longer get a separate pool of hit points by shapeshifting, getting knocked out of beast form is harder as you retain your Druid's hit points. You also gain temporary hit points to act as a buffer. The 2024 Wild Shape rules come from my place of understanding that shapeshifting into a beast is a major appeal of the Druid class by making it easier to stay in beast form and allow you to expend spell slots to replenish the usage of Wild Shape. The 2024 Player's Handbook is really geared towards making you eager and excited usability. Yeah, I think this is a nerf, technically. I just don't want to say it, but making a bonus action means you can pop it and go into it quicker, and then you can take damage quicker at the same time. It just speeds up your gameplay action economy, so it's good. A new feature of the 2024 Druid is the ability to use a use of Wild Shape or a spell slot to cast the 5 familiar spell without any material components. This was an optional feature in Taj's Call to Everything that is now part of the base class for the 2024 Druid. This means Druids who want to spend their time shapeshifting can still interact with an animal companion. I don't like this. I don't like Wild Shape to just do Find Familiar so they can have a little pet buddy with you. I just don't think it's good. I think the game has already had many options to give you, such as the Find Familiar spell, to gain access to that stuff. Was Find Familiar can you even do that as a Druid? Do you just have this spell if you wanted it? Oh, available for Wizard only. So maybe just giving the spell Find Familiar would have been good. I don't like this, like, oh, my Find Familiar is just something I get to do now. Not a fan of it, don't like it. I think it gives the Druid... I just don't think it makes sense. I don't like any feature. I'm trying to figure out how I word it, how I don't like it. How do I say it? Like, if it still disappears and stuff, that's good. But it's like, the wizard had the ability because, like, that's the wizard thing. Like, find familiar. He's going to create the familiar. Now I was like, oh, I want a pet too. I want my pet. And everyone's starting to get their pet. And, like, Ranger, once again, who was, like, the Beastmaster problem, appears like, okay, well, everyone's getting a pet. The Ranger's whole thing was, their subclass was getting a pet. You're taking away features that make people really unique to that class. Like, if you want to be casting Find Familiar all the time and having your pet, go fucking play Ranger then. I don't know. Like, you're incorporating too much. Or if, like, you want to go make a pet as a Druid, go out there and just role play it. But this Find Familiar, I think, removes that aspect of that character that would make a person tick in the game, and now just makes it a mechanical option instead of like a player expressive option. Like, oh, I went out into the woods and I spent time with this eagle, and I found it hurt my DM, like set up to be hurt, and I found it and I healed it. I spent time with it during my downtime. I named him Barnabas, and now me and Barnabas are best friends. I take him with me, and now I'm really scared when he gets hurt, or I'm really terrified. Instead of like 5 minutes, he dies. Well, if he dies, he dies. You know, like I could go spend another Wild Shape thing. I just don't like it as much. Makes Druids a force to be reckoned with. At level 7, the 2024 Druid gets a feature called Elemental Fury. This lets players pick 2 options, Primal Strike or Potent Spellcasting. Potent Spellcasting allows you to add your Wisdom modifier to your damage dealt with a Druid cantrip. The Primal Strike option lets you deal 1d8 extra damage and 2d8. This feature leans heavily into the primal forces that fuel a Druid's magic by giving Druids the ability to deal their choice of damage in melee combat. That seems good. I wonder if you would just put that in Circle of the Moon, but whatever. I wonder if you could ever switch off it. Wizards and Birkenstocks. Well, they were. Don't worry. Known shapes. One thing that might stick out in the new 2024 Druids have a pool of known shapes to choose from for their Wild Shape versus any beast known to them from the 2014 Druid rules. What might feel like just a limitation at first glance, this change means DMs and Druid players can be on the same page about whether or not a beast is known to the Druid. It also helps Druid players have their beast stat blocks for the Wild Shape forms ready to go when the comp begins, not unlike having a prepared spell list ready. This change also allows for a bit more roleplay inspiration. Having a set number of forms that are known to the 24 Druid means your Druid has spent time thinking about the relationship and reverence for different beasts in which Wild Shape forms are specifically important to them. That means you can think about why they chose these forms, what they may have done to study them, and what sort of exercise or rituals they might have done to maintain their hold on these forms during long rests. Or if you choose to swap out a form when completely on rest, consider what your character did to master this new form. Yeah, I think this is good. I think no change is good. I think the big thing here is which is like, I think they're really scared of saying we're limiting stuff. It's fine to limit stuff. Balancing games sometimes requires you to balance and take things away. I mean, you fucking slammed the paladins down to the fucking ground with your bonus action smite. I don't know why you're scared of saying you limited things. You fucking destroyed the paladin. You took him to the ground. But here they're like, yeah, it's good. And it's good just for fucking DMs. DMs get more chance to just be like, okay, thank you. We know what we're doing here. We're not going to go crazy. Okay, Circle of the Moon. Let's see what they did to make it better. So, circle forms. So, I guess they just probably removed the fucking combat wild shape. I wonder if you keep the extra HP from combat wild shape. Because they got rid of the bonus action. I wonder if you get the HP recovering thing still. The 2024 Circle of the Moon Druid gets a huge boost to your beast forms at level 3, your first level in the subclass. Your AC in beast form becomes 13 plus your wisdom modifier, unless your beast form's AC is higher. But you also gain 3 times your druid's level in temporary hit points, meaning you'll gain 9 temporary hit points at level 3, all the way up to 60 at level 20. The 2024 Circle of the Moon's Druid's maximum CR for the form equals your druid level divided by 3. In the 2024 Player's Handbook, subclasses have been standardized as starting at level 3, so classes like Druid, Cleric, and Warlocks that used to get subclasses earlier now get them at level 3. To balance out this change, each effective base class also gets some features at earlier level. For example, now at level 1, now get a level 1 feature called Primal Order, in which you either gain proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor, or gain extra cantrip and a boost to your arcane or nature checks. Okay. Makes sense. I guess it's truly standardizing them down the board all to be at level 3. It kind of stinks for the Druid to not get off the ground so fast, but what are you gonna do? Circle of the Moon spells. Like the 2014 Druid, the base class gains the ability to cast spells in beast form at level 18, except when a spell consumes a material component or requires a component of a specific house. But the 2024 Circle of the Moon Druid can start casting spells from the Circle of the Moon spell table as early as level 3. This means you don't have to choose between staying in your beast form or casting Cure Wounds on an ally. Okay, that's good. So you can't cast spells legitimately still, but now you're way better at doing it before. So everyone thumbs up for the Circle of the Moon finally getting some good stuff. At level 6, your Circle of the Moon Druid can choose to deal and attacks normal type of damage type or radiant damage. You can choose to deal attacks type or radiant damage. Okay. So now I get a magical attack. Wouldn't the magical attack just be better? Yeah, because now it's just now it's like, oh, you can do radiant or it's magical. I guess radiant just to make it more moon vibes. Okay, that's fine. I know that's like a pure increase. Moonlight Step, the 2024. 1 second. Beast one level 18. So yeah, at level 18 you still get the. So you still get that? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, so no, they do get the beast form casting spells at level 18. But Circle of the Moon can cast Circle of the Moon spells. Oh, very exciting. Hopefully those are good. Moonlight Step. In 2024, the Circle of the Moon no longer gains the elemental wild shape feature. It has been replaced by the more moon-flavored Moonlight Step, which allows you to use a bonus action teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space and gain advantage on your next attack roll before the end of your turn. Okay, that's good. It's fine. Now these are exciting. The Lunar Form. The Lunar Form features feature at level 14 replaces the Thousand Form feature at 2014 Circle of the Moon Druid. With Lunar Form, once per turn you deal an additional 2d10 radiant damage to a target you hit with a wild shape form's tag. This means at level 15, on a hit, you would deal your base damage plus 2d10 radiant damage, plus a 2d8 of your choice if you pick Primal Strike Shuffle Fear. So, note to self, don't make Circle and Druid want to hit me. Okay. Man, you just get increased damage. I agree with, like, the level 10 wild shape is, like, to transform into an air elemental isn't that, like, exciting. I can like agree with that sentiment, but I don't know if I'm all of a sudden like, oh shit. I guess you're just gonna be shitting out damage as you get up there, but like I'm not feeling the wild shape in me still. Like I'm like, oh shit, here we go, baby. Like now I'm in there. The CR1 stuff is gonna be good that you get to the circle form, which is good here. So they buffed that up, but like again, the wild shaping just feels. It's like you're not inhabiting the wild shape like where you're inhabiting creatures with the creature's strength, or you get unique styles from druid shaping into them. It's just you do more damage, so it doesn't feel unique. I think they're just trying to make it do more damage just to make it feel better. That's a little disappointing. Let's go look at. I think they just eventually talk about druids. I might just hop over and see what they said about druids if I can find that real quick. That was Circle the Moon Druid. No, I don't think they've even talked about druids yet in here, so we still don't really know what druids are to druidity yet, what they get. And this Circle the Moon stuff is interesting. Let's go read a little bit about it.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about the Druid. There is a ton of new in the Druid.
We took a careful look at our nature friend, the Druid, and looked at every root of its tree, cultivated its garden, and so much now is either brand new or enhanced in this class. And a lot of this development that we did in the class, members of the D&D community were with us on the journey through the Unearthed Arcana process, but the final version has even elements that people didn't get to see as a part of the UA process. And the new starts right at first level in this class. So you now have, as a Druid, a brand new feature to select at first level, Primal Order. And inside Primal Order, you get to make a choice. And that is whether you're going to be what's called a Warden, emphasizing sort of having more armor and being able to use martial weapons, or are you going to pick Magician to lean more in the nature magician direction. This choice point really gets at the fact that the Druid, going all the way back to its origins in first edition, has always had a bit of a split identity. There has been this sort of melee weapon using path as well as a full spellcasting path. And so what we decided to do, and we did a similar thing in the new version of the Cleric, we've made it so that we forefront that choice and you get to decide as a
Okay, interesting. I think
player of the Druid.
I think clerics are a bit more like, you know, you can be pure spellcasting cleric and you can be, you know, pure man, but I feel like it's obvious when you start doing it how it gets. I don't know if you forefront the decision, but
Warden,
that's fine.
You're going to get proficiency with martial weapons as well as with medium armor. Whereas
I think just giving being like fuck it, you get your proficiency, fuck it, you get all your things, like pick out what you want to know what you're gonna get to at level 3. Like in a sense, D&D feels like it's starting to get to the point where you don't kind of like start the game and like make your character, and now it's feeling like now that everyone has to get their subclass level 3, you're really building your character from 1 to 3 now, and then 4, 5, and onward is like you get to figure out what you want to do later. But 1 to 3 is where you're at, instead of like letting your character come into its own from level 1.
Checks. And this benefit is getting to add your wisdom modifier to those checks. So in a way, you're getting to use 2 ability scores when you make those checks.
Oh wow, okay. So they stack.
They stack. So like if you're a magician druid and you make an intelligence nature check, you're adding both your intelligence modifier and your wisdom.
Oh, that's nice. I love that.
And that's really focusing in on the fact that this is a druid who is all about not only nature magic.
Yeah, they're super huge. They're going to keep talking about this over and over again. They're trying to make the role playing stuff better for everyone else that has to deal with the bard and the rogue.
We also enhanced the druidic feature. This feature used to teach you the secret language of druids, which is called druidic, but this now also gives you speak with animals, because we wanted to...
Okay, cool. I do think that's a good change. Just give fucking druids speak with animal, for the love of God. The people that crave speak with animal, the druids need it.
At first level, we wanted druids to have an easier path to doing this very iconic thing for druids, which is conversing with critters. And in the art for this class, you see a druid there happily surrounded by all of his animal friends. Now, the spellcasting feature is also still at first level for druids, and the druid spell list, like all of our spellcasting classes, has been reviewed, expanded, and this list benefits from the additional spells that are in this player's handbook. Now, at second level, the new keeps coming, because we have majorly improved wild shape. Which is such an iconic feature for druids. This ability to...
Yeah, they've really improved wild shape at the cost of making Circle the Moon a little just less interesting.
Primal magic to adopt a beast form. So right off the bat, the major enhancement here is all druids can now wild shape as a bonus action. Right. This used to be a feature that belonged to the Circle of the Moon subclass, and we wanted to make it easier for all druids, regardless of subclass, to transform into a beast should they decide to use their wild shape in that way.
That's amazing.
And this leads in how I phrased it into the other new thing at level 2, which is the wild companion feature, because we've also wanted to give people other things to use their wild shape on. Wild shape, of course, is fun to use to turn into animals, but sometimes a druid player doesn't want their druid to be turning into animals, and so we wanted to give you other things you could use your wild shape for, and Wild Companion right away gives you that, and that allows you to use one of your uses of Wild Shape to cast the Find Familiar spell, because we wanted to make it easier for druids to have a critter friend with them. This is a feature that...
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of the critter friend phenomenon shit. I think if you want a critter friend, you should go out there and, you know, go make your own damn critter friend out there, damn it. Not have to go deal with this constant level of, like, oh, I can summon a critter friend, oh, I got my Find Familiar, blah, blah, blah. I would rather just, like, the druid goes out and does it themselves, and you go make a friend, and then if that friend gets hurt or damaged in some ways, it suddenly makes that effect more real of, like, the druid has befriended animal and then has in some ways hurt the animal, which is what should happen to druids. You know, druids should be working with the real life, not with the magical life.
Cauldron of everything, but it has now migrated into the core so that now all druids have this option. Perfect. Now, there are other enhancements inside Wild Shape. In addition to it now being a bonus action for all druids, we have also now made it so that druids can continue to speak while they are in a Wild Shape form. Yeah. Because we've really embraced the fact that when a druid adopts a Wild Shape, they're not literally an animal. They are this very magical person, this druid, who is simply appearing in an animal form. And so we wanted you to really be able to retain your character a bit more while you're in one of these animal shapes, so you can still participate in social encounters, even if you're there as a cat. We didn't want druids to feel like that when they shapeshift, they're now suddenly excluding themselves from certain types of encounters. As we go up in...
You know, I'll once again refer. Great change. That's a fantastic change.
In the levels with the druid, you're going to keep seeing new features, because we didn't just add in that choice point I mentioned before in primal order at first level. You also then get carry-on options later on. So when you get up to level 7, there is the Elemental Fury feature where you again get to decide.
They just kind of skipped over this. I'm really interested in this thing. I think it's tied up here. Starting at level 5, you can use Wild Resurgence to restore use by expending a spell slot. You may also expend one of your wild shapes to restore level 1 spell slot per long rest. I think that stuff seems really interesting. I think it's a better choice than the using Wild Companion shit. I don't like the Wild Companion stuff. Just not a big fan of it.
Do you want to lean more in the direction of spellcasting?
I don't think it's very role-playing.
Now, one of the fun things that we did here is this later choice is not determined by your choice at first level. You can actually mix and match. So even if you decided to go more the spellcasting route at first level, you could instead go the Primal Strike direction at level 7, or you could keep going in the spellcasting direction with Potent Spellcasting. Then at level 15, you get Improved Elemental Fury, and this improves whichever one of those options you chose for Elemental Fury at level 7. Now, before both of those, there's another new feature in the form of Wild Resurgence, which allows you now some flexibility in terms of how you use your spell slots and your wild shape uses, where specifically you can give yourself a wild shape use by expending a spell slot. So if you've ever played a druid and you've been in the situation where I'd really love to shapeshift again, but I'm out of wild shape uses, but I have all these spell slots sitting around, well, now you have the option of converting an unexpended spell slot into a wild shape use. But it also, once per day, can go in the other direction, where you can expend a use of your wild shape to give yourself a level 1 spell slot. Now, the farming spell slots for wild shape uses, you can just keep doing that until you've run out of spell slots. But the other direction of taking a wild shape use and turning it into a spell slot, that you can do just once and then need to complete a long rest before you do it again.
This is very juicy.
I think it sounds balanced out now that I've heard
damage, or you're choosing to get extra damage when you're using Primal Strike in like a melee form. And that continues into Improved Elemental Fury, where your range of your cantrips significantly increases by 300 feet, making a really nasty spell sniper, and then also Primal Strikes, the damage keeps going up. So you're more in the fight as this druid, and it just gets better and better, and you keep on getting to make that choice multiple times.
By the way, one reason in Improved Elemental Fury we increased...
I'm going to go back and look here. Did I just miss where the druid was? So they're getting into the whole kit and caboodle about druids. Let me go look up Druid 2024 versus 2014. Is there just a nice page on that? That's the page. Someone have a better article? I think they talk about it. No one has like an article written on this, because they're getting into a lot of discussion. Come on, Ian World, what do you got for me? Okay, let's go. We'll just look at a little bit of the overview here. We went over the other stuff. So subclasses land. Almost all is in PT6. This is all about spell casting. Okay, you can choose your land type every long rest, so you can change that as long as in PT6. What the fuck is PT6? Use Wild Shape at 3 to create Eruption of Nature Magic. Harms and heals expanded at 14 to include resistances. 2 damage resistance at 10 with flexibility. Okay, so land C. The Aquaman problem. New water breathing replaces Sleet Storm and subclass spell list. Moon. Oh, player test A. Yes, that's what's player test. I'm not stupid. Stars is really good. I will say, Stars, if they bring that back, is fucking good. Moon, so new subclass spells again is different from blah 3. Cure Wounds, Moonbeam, Starry Wisp. But you can cast these as an animal form. Cure Wounds, Moonbeam, Starry Wisp. Conjure Animal, replacing Vampiric Touch. Fount of Moonlight, new spell. And then Mass Cure Wounds, replacing Dawn. Okay, they'll make sure you can stay up. Gain to instead of just taking other creatures' hit points. A nerf, but a needed one. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, okay. So cool, they're just kind of getting into that. Okay, that all makes sense to me then. And they'll stick with this. I think all this stuff sounds pretty fine for the Druid. I think it's a bit of an overreach in giving the class too much general good shit vibes. Like, I would rather just, like, some other level of... Instead of, like, oh, you got so much good shit naturally. This is just some, like, good shit the moon can have. This is some good shit this thing can have, instead of just saying like all around good stuff. And I think the class itself is like kind of lost some of the subclasses have lost some of their identity a little bit. But overall, not a bad look for the Druid, Rogue, and Barbarian. I think these are all pretty strong buffs all around for them. I think they're just losing. I think the Druid's losing some of its subclass identity. I think the Rogue is just going to be good. I think they're trying to bring up, like we said, the other classes to Rogue's role-playing standard. I just don't know if the Rogue can ever be beat role-playing, because it is never like, the Druid is a nature creature, the Barbarian is this muscly bound warrior. The Rogue is whatever the fuck we want the Rogue to be, but probably just not muscle-bound. And that's about it. Other than that, Rogue can kind of just be, it can be a nature person and the Rogue. It can be an intelligent and the Rogue. And other classes kind of get that way. Rogue gets to do it very RP'd focus, and that makes them really strong. But we're going to move on to my next thing. Really enjoyed these changes. I think they're really good, strong buffs. Again, if you're looking for really good buffs, they're really good. But if you want to look for like more focusing on your subclasses, making your characters diverse, I think we're seeing some slow pull aways in the Druid direction, which isn't good. The Barbarian, I think, looks fine. If just a little, just strong like the Rogue is going to be. So hopefully that doesn't, get too scary for people. Haha.